Here we are with the tale of a country which was once called the Golden Bird, and to analyze whether it could regain its prosperity and become the next economic superpower. Let's start from 600 BC. The Indian economy back then had a huge trade surplus, and since the imports were less than its exports, the deficit was paid for in gold and silver. India was a sink of gold and was rightly called a golden bird. India invented the coin and barter system along with present economics. India was one of the first countries to adopt money-based trade, along with the Greeks in the 6th century. The biggest factor that made India the golden bird in the eyes of other countries is the plethora of wealth that the land possessed. Let us go back the economic history of India. India was one of the largest economies in the world, for about 2.5 millennia, starting around the end of the first millennium BC, and ending around the beginning of British rule in India. India had a 24.4% share of world income, during the time when Mughal leader Aurangzeb used to rule from 1658 to 1707. Impact of British rule on the Indian economy. The British rule lasted in India till 1947. Heavy duties were imposed on Indian manufacturers to enter into England and other European countries. The weavers and other artisans were forced to sell their products to the company at a cheaper price. The Industrial Revolution in Britain led to mass production, leading to cheaper prices of goods with which Indian products could not compete. This led to the deindustrialization of the country and increased the dependence of people on agriculture. This increasing pressure on agriculture was one of the major causes of the extreme poverty in India under British rule. Indian economy post-independence. In 1947, when India gained independence from the British colonial empire, the level of agriculture mechanization was low. The socialist-oriented 5-year plans of the 1950s and 60s aggressively promoted rural mechanization via joint ventures and tie-ups between local industrialists and international tractor manufacturers. Economic Programme Committee, EPC, formed by All India Congress Committee, AICC. The aim of this committee was to make a plan which could balance private and public partnerships in urban and rural economies. The 5-year plans and how they impacted the Indian economy growth. Growth refers to an increase in the country's capacity to produce the output of goods and services within the country. Good indicator of economic growth is the steady increase in the country's gross domestic product, GDP, the market value of all the goods and services produced in the country during a year. Modernization. Steps taken by a factory to increase output by using a new type of machine and technology is called modernization. It also leads to changes in social outlook, such as the recognition that women should have the same rights as men. How did we achieve economic self-reliance? The first 7 5-year plans gave importance to self-reliance, which means avoiding imports of those goods which could be produced in India itself, in order to reduce our dependence on foreign countries, especially for food. We ensure that the benefits of economic prosperity reach the poor sections of society instead of being enjoyed only by the rich. Every Indian was to be able to meet his or her basic needs such as food, a decent house, education and health care, and reducing inequality in the distribution of wealth. What caused India's economic growth? The economy responded with a surge in growth, which averaged 6.3% annually in the 1990s and the early 2000s, a rate double that of earlier time frames. In 2004, private cellular companies were signing up new customers at the rate of 5 million per month. The number of people who lived below the poverty line decreased between 1993 and 2009 from 50% of the total population to 34%. The country's share in world trade increased from 0.4% on the eve of the reforms to 1.5% in 2006, and foreign exchange shortages have now been replaced by reserves upward of US $350 billion, prompting debates about what to do with the excess reserves. How did India's economic growth rate increase during the 2000s? India's growth has been distinctive in many ways. It has relied on services rather than manufacturing as an engine of growth. India, despite being a developing country, was exporting skills and technology in the form of FDI to countries much richer than itself, which is a sign of progress. A higher share of the working age population, positively growth through various channels, a higher labor supply, higher savings, as working age groups tend to save more than the young and the old. Thus, a favorable change in the age structure, that is, an increase in the share of the working age population, as captured by the growth in the share of the working age population, has been the potential to positively influence economic growth of India ever since the 2000s. Where does India stand today? India rose from the 9th to the 5th largest economy by nominal GDP in 2019, behind only the US, China, Japan, and Germany. India has also surpassed UK, France, Italy, and Brazil. According to the International Monetary Fund, when nominal GDP is considered, India is now, as of the latest data we have seen till 2022, ranked 5th among the world's largest economies. The nominal GDP of India has grown 700% since 1995. In the last few years, the growth rate has increased by 7.8%. India, the Golden Bird 2.0. The Economic Survey 2020-21, released in January this year, had projected GDP growth of 11% during the current financial year ending in March 2022. The agricultural sector continues its strong presence in economic retrieval with higher acreage of rabi sowing, improved reservoir levels, and adequate handiness of plant food and seeds ensured by the government, it said. The COVID-19 pandemic has been nothing short of withering for the country. Indeed, India has the third highest death toll worldwide, ranking behind US and Brazil. Nonetheless, with the help of emergency aid and prompt responses from the Indian government, the country has been able to transition out of the second COVID-19 wave. Lastly, this new trend is worth mentioning: startups. India is a great haven for new startups now. From 2011 to 2019 there were 27 unicorns, and in 2021 it was around 44. It grew double in 2021 than it did in the last 10 years, which is remarkable. Well, that's all for this video. If you liked this video, don't forget to like, share, comment and subscribe for more such videos.